I still have my Dauntless tats on from Thursday. It's Monday, but if you ask me, I think they look really swaggy. What's not swaggy is when they won't stay, but they won't go away either. You can't even tell it's abnegation. It's just gross is what it is. Can we just like take a minute and discuss how much I fucking loved the Divergent movie? I thought that there was a lot of different things that were brought to this movie that made it successful in my eyes at least. And one of those that I just have to discuss really fast is the way this film was marketed. Whoever was in charge of the marketing for this movie did their job. The Divergent cast was being interviewed on talk shows and magazines. There was just like the movie companion, commercials all over the place. You heard of this movie even if you weren't a huge fan of the books. That is, I feel like, what contributed to more people going to see this movie and it actually being successful in the box office. Round of applause for the people that marketed Divergent. I love you. Okay, with that out of the way, we can talk about the actual movie. Another reason why I love this movie was just the cast. Shailene Woodley in general is a very strong, independent, confident woman, and I feel like she really brought that to the role of Tris, which is something totally necessary. Anybody can show up to work and make out with Theo James and get paid for it and be happy and do a decent job. What Shailene Woodley brought to this movie was a real sense of self to Tris. And I think that is something that is so lacking in movies nowadays, is just women that know themselves. Women that can take care of themselves and don't need to rely on a man. My favorite line in this entire movie is when Tris is trying to get on the train and Tobias kind of starts to reach out to help her and she says, "I've got it." And he says, "I know you do." This is a relationship that is not built on one person protecting the other. One person doesn't need the other person. Tris doesn't need a man to survive, and a shocking turn of events. Even though a man is offering her help, she doesn't need to take it. Like, can we just fucking discuss Tris Pryor? What a total and complete badass. Another thing Shailene did really insanely well was just all of the emotions. I was worried that I would watch the movie and not see the Tris that I know and love. And while she is physically different than the Tris that I pictured, any emotion or personality trait that she portrayed in the movie was Tris. And as a fan and as a viewer, what matters to me is not that they look exactly like I pictured when I first read the book before I even knew there was going to be a movie. What matters to me is that the actor who's playing one of my favorite characters understands the character and wants to do them justice. Shailene Woodley understands Tris and she knows what she's about and she knows how important it is to portray women as strong individuals who don't need to rely on anybody else to get by. I also thought that Theo James did really, like, I can't even talk about him. He's so beautiful. I remember when he was cast as Spore and everyone was talking so much shit. They probably feel so stupid right now. He not only is extremely masculine, which is important to anybody who's playing Four, is that they are just a man's man. This sort of like powerful masculinity is something that makes him intimidating to anybody else except for Tris. But another important side of Tobias is that he also has this incredibly vulnerable side to him. This is a guy that was physically and mentally abused until he was 16 years old. He switched factions to get away from his father. In the first book, you don't really get a huge sense of how much that affected him. The moment where he comes face to face with Marcus again and he kind of just stares at him for a second. And you can just see every emotion come flooding back, but he's trying to hide it. And that's a hard thing to do as an actor, to portray emotion, but that you are trying to cover up that emotion. And of course, if you know anything about me, if you follow me on Tumblr, or if you know me in real life, you know that Ansel Elgort is my bae. If you ask me, there wasn't enough Ansel in this movie. He's a very talented actor. I was actually so proud of him. He doesn't know I exist. I thought Triss's parents were really, really good. Ashley Judd, so good. I would also like to start a petition to nominate Triss's dad as DILF of the Year. Even the smaller characters like Christina, Zoe Kravitz, coolest person on earth, love her, no complaints. And actually, the first time I read the book, I was like, if they ever make this into a movie, they should cast Zoe Kravitz as Christina. My wishes were granted, which has never happened before, so I was so excited that she was Christina, so I can't complain. Well, actually, I have two complaints. My first complaint is that Will and Al look exactly alike. My second complaint is that everybody was 30 years old. What? Everyone was really good in their roles, so I guess it kind of makes up for it. If you ever talk shit about Shailene or Theo being cast as Tristan 4, I hope you feel very, very stupid, because that's what you are. As for the plot, I felt like it was a pretty true adaptation. Honestly, when you're adapting a book that's like 500 pages into a 150-page movie, you have to pick and choose where you want the movie to go. Something awesome that happened with Catching Fire was that it was probably the truest book to movie adaptation that has ever been done. But the thing with Catching Fire is that it's only about 360-ish pages. With Divergent, it's a really long book and there's a lot that happens. So what the director and the screenwriter and everybody had to do was choose what is most important about this movie and what can we take from the book to put into the movie that will honor the plot that we've chosen to go with. It just really surpassed my expectations. I was not expecting it to be true to the book at all. I was scared that they would make it a cheesy romance, but they made it about a strong, powerful woman who's finding herself and standing up for what she believes in, and that's what the books are about. And that's what really matters to me. So the things that they changed didn't really bother me because it helped it as a movie. So anything that they changed or took out, I didn't really notice it when I was watching it the first time. It was more when I went back and thought about it. My only real complaints were I wish they would have put in more of Christina and Will's relationship. I know it's so hard to do because they have so much stuff to put in there. And they did kind of touch on it sometimes, but I feel like for Insurgent, since Christina spends half the book really pissed off at Triss, they needed to show how important Will was to Christina, and we didn't really get that much. At the end, when Tobias is under the serum and he's like about to kill her and Triss is saying, I love you, it's okay. Don't take away the first time that Triss says I love you to him, because that doesn't happen until the middle of Insurgent. It's the most beautiful, beautiful scene in the entire series. I swear to God, if they don't put that in there, I'm going to burn down the house of Neil Berger. Nonetheless, it was pretty cute and awesome, and I got emotional. I'm getting emotional right now because I'm just thinking about Allegiant. Oh, I need to stop. And also the ending, I don't know what it was about it, but it was kind of weird. Not the train stuff. I thought the train stuff was very, I really liked the train ending. It was all the stuff with Janine. It's been so long since I read the book, I don't even know what it was about it. I liked it, but it was not what I was expecting, I guess. For characters and plot, that's what I have to say. Now I just want to talk about specific moments. The fear landscapes were cool as fuck. The only complaint about the fear landscapes is that Triss has 6 fears. But is that... I don't understand. What? They only made her have like 4 or 5. It's just... What? It was just exactly how I pictured it in my head. It was so cool. I was really excited to see the fear landscapes. I loved the fear landscape where Tobias, like, we find out that his name is actually Tobias. I always call him Tobias. Should I call him 4? Whatever, fuck it. His name's Tobias and he's my bae. I felt like there were a couple of really important scenes in this. And one of those was when Tris and Tobias are like making out and they're like super into it, and then Tris decides that she's gone a little too far for her comfort zone, so she pulls back and she says, I don't want to go too fast. And Tobias, instead of making a huge deal about how he had complimented her so he deserves sex, stepped back and said, okay, I've got my place on the floor. And that was the end of it. God bless whoever wrote that scene. I wish I knew the screenwriter's name. I should look it up. I think it's really important for young girls and young guys to see something like that, to see a girl kind of take over the situation and say, look, I'm not comfortable going any further, and a guy totally accepting it and being okay with it and wanting to make her feel comfortable. And another scene that was kind of related to that was Tris's fear landscape, when Tobias gets a little violent there. She was being sexually assaulted. She kicked and punched and got him off of her, which is badass by itself, but then when she came out of the simulation, people were applauding and showing that she had done the right thing. Girls and guys need to see something like that in these franchise films, these films that are so big, and things like that can often be overlooked. That's one of the things I love so much about the movie, was they showed how powerful Tris was. There were a few times when I cried during this movie. One of those was the zipline scene. Allegiant. Need I say more? Also cried during the small moment where Tobias said, keep tension here, and he reached his arm around. It made me think of Allegiant again, because he does that in Allegiant, and they're like, remember when I first did that to you? And that day is a very sad day in Allegiant. I don't want to talk about it too much more. Another scene I really loved was when Tobias was under the simulation. Theo just did so good at that scene. It was so... it was everything I wanted it to be. The scene at the end on the train was just so cute. I was dying. I was getting really emotional. I just like really felt it emotionally, you know? You know what I mean? I felt that shit in my soul. Another part of the movie I really loved was when Tobias took off his shirt to show Tris his tattoos. I know what you're thinking, and no, it's not because I just wanted to see him shirtless. I mean, I did, but that's not the point. The reason I love that scene so much was because they didn't make a big show of the hot guy taking off his shirt like they do in other movies. Twilight. Instead of the camera being like, look at this hot guy, the camera was zoomed in on close-ups of like their faces and their interactions, because they didn't make it a stupid movie about just two hot people making out and kicking ass. They made it an intimate moment between the two characters where their relationship is building. I really love what they did with the characters in this movie. They made them strong and powerful and individuals, and they sort of didn't make it about the romance. They made it about Tris's journey. I'm so happy that now more and more we're starting to see strong women, strong young women. So rare to see young women portrayed as powerful and individual and strong, physically and mentally. This makes me really proud and happy that the people involved with this movie understood what it was about and they brought that to the screen. Even if they did change a few things around, it really doesn't bother me, because it was just so empowering to watch a female around my same age be so badass. So yeah, overall I really love this movie, and I'm sorry I just kept rambling on. I love Divergent so much, and I thought the movie was so good, and I'm so proud that it's doing well, and I'm proud of what the actors and just director and everybody involved with it brought to the movie. So I guess that's all I have to say about it. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And also in the comments, let me know what you thought of the movie, unless you hated it, in which case don't piss me off. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now because this has gotten so long. I'm so sorry. Bye! My hair! My hair is so confusing.